This house in Kent, Washington is listed at $799,000, and we're going to walk through a real mortgage quote to talk about what the numbers would look like if you were the one buying this house. How much would your monthly payment be? How much cash would you need to bring all in with your closing costs and your down payment? And then how much income would you need to qualify for this loan? And hopefully this will just give you more confidence early in the process, because I know that when you're looking around trying to get a sense of real numbers of what to expect, you don't know how much confidence to put in those mortgage calculators, and you don't know where else to get a sense of the numbers. So this is a real mortgage quote. My name is Landon Buteau. I work with Cleveland Street Mortgage based in Bothell, Washington. And this is a real quote we've pulled on this house based on real pricing. So hopefully this will just get you a real confident, real reliable sense of what the numbers are that you can expect. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers. All right, I've created two different scenarios here. One 25% down quote that you can look at, and one a 50% down scenario. And hopefully even that's not your exact situation, being able to compare the two will get you a sense of how pricing is going to change, how your monthly payment is going to change, how qualifying is going to change from one down payment to another. And it'll just give you a reference of what things are going to start to look like. For both of these, I'm assuming you have a credit score of 740, just so you know the assumptions I'm making going in. Let's walk through the 25% down numbers first, and then we'll come back and see how the numbers change with your 50% down, and then we'll talk about how much income it would take in both scenarios at the end. So the 25% down, your monthly payment is $4,638, and that is made of four different components. Homeowners insurance of $175 per month. That number is it's just an estimate, but it's an estimate based on common numbers that we see come through, that we see our buyers end up with for prices around this price point in this area. So it's a pretty reliable number, but that is an estimate. It's going to vary depending on who your insurance provider is and how much your coverage is. So that pricing will change depending on that, but that should be a pretty good estimate. Taxes of $426 per month. And that's drawn from the county website for this property for 2024. So that is the actual number that you can expect for taxes on this place. Principal and interest of $4,037, and that's based on your loan amount of $599,250, and your interest rate in this case of 7.125. Now again, this is not an advertisement for this interest rate. It's not a guarantee that that's the interest rate you're going to get. But it is a good sense of where we're at right now, of where rates are, and should give you a good expectation if you're in the market right now of where rates are generally. Pop down here, other closing costs, $11,347. You're probably familiar with the fact that you have to pay closing costs on top of your down payment. For this price point, for this loan amount, it's going to vary what your closing costs are based on several factors, but based on this loan amount and this price point, you can probably expect somewhere from let's say $10,000 to $15,000 broadly, but typically it's maybe 11, 12, 13 in this price point in this loan amount, but again it will vary based on several factors. So what that means is your closing costs plus your down payment, all the cash you're going to have to bring all in to close this deal, to put into escrow, is $212,292. So let's see how the numbers change for 50% down. Your monthly payment now drops down to $3,259. Homeowners insurance stays the same, and taxes stay the same because those are dependent on the house, not the loan structure. Principal and interest of $2,658. And that's based on your loan amount of $399,500, a much smaller loan amount now. And the interest rate dropped down slightly to 6.999. Sometimes your interest rate will improve when you go from a lower down payment to a higher down payment, from 25% down to 50% down. It won't always change. Your monthly payment will always change, but that's because you're changing the loan amount. But your interest rate won't necessarily improve. In this case, it did. At this time in the market, it did, which is great. So now we're down to 6.999%. Closing costs of $11,057, slightly lower closing costs because we have a smaller loan amount. And then estimated cash to close, which means your down payment of 50% plus your closing costs, all the cash you're going to have to bring all in for this house, is $411,752. So how much income would it take to qualify for these loans? It's going to be different because it's going to depend on your monthly payment. You have to try and qualify for the monthly payment. So it's going to be higher in this scenario than in this scenario. And basically for conventional loans, the way that it works is lenders look at your what's called your debt to income ratio. And your debt to income ratio is your total monthly debts. It's your DTI. It's your total monthly debts divided by your gross monthly income. So your total monthly debts is the new housing payment you're trying to take on plus any other monthly debts that you have, divided by your gross monthly income, which is your income before taxes, and that number needs to be less than 50%. Now again, this is for qualifying. It is not from your budgeting perspective or financial perspective. It's just, will the lender approve you for the loan? Whether you want to take on that loan is another question. What rules you adhere to for debt to income ratio there is another question. But as far as the lender's perspective, for a conventional loan, they want to see less than 50%, which basically just means you take your total monthly payment plus any other monthly debts you have, add those together, and then you multiply it by 2, and that's the income you're going to have to be making. You're going to be making at least that income or more than that income in order to qualify for this monthly payment. So in this case, let's assume you have no other debts. If you have other debts, you just add that to this number. But I'm going to take this number, and in this case, in the 50% down scenario, to qualify for the $32.59 payment, you would have to be making $6,518 per month. And over here in the 25% down scenario, you'd have to be making $9,276. No, what am I doing? 73. I'm sure that's wrong. 9,238 times 2. Gonna be, this is really bad. 76. Okay. 9,276 per month to qualify for this monthly payment here. And if you're applying with your spouse for a loan, then that could be your combined income. But just know it has to be your income in the lender's eyes, which isn't always exactly the same as it is often different than what you think your income is. So you can look into other videos as far as whether your income will qualify in the lender's eyes, how much income of your income will qualify in the lender's eyes. There's various rules depending on what your income structure is, whether you're salaried or commission or self-employed or variable hours. So you can look into that, but whatever they deem it to be, it's going to have to be basically twice your total monthly debts or more for a conventional loan. And in this case, it's $65.18 and $92.76 for this monthly payment. If you want to get a sense of of how much house you could qualify for based on your income, if you want to get a quote of your own on a house that you're looking at in the area, we'd love to do a loan for you. We do loans in Washington and Idaho, and we'd love to just answer questions as well. If you just want to ask questions and you're not ready for a loan but you want to ask questions, please do reach out. Again, we work with Cleveland Street Mortgage based in Bothell, Washington. All of our contact information is in the description below, so you can find it there and see what our process is like to work with us as a team, or again, just ask questions. So reach out using the information below.